which it is with lots of excitement that I get to introduce one of my dearest friend. And I'm going to try to do this in the back of my head as best as possible, because if I don't do this correctly, that means I maybe not be a good friend, right? She is a software engineer at Google. I mean, oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I don't like Facebook. I mean, Meta. Maybe that was a Meta thing. So she's at Meta. I think those are Freudian slip why I said Google. I don't know why I said that. Sorry, Jackie. So she's a software engineer at Meta. She works in, I want to say, civic integrity, correct?
Okay. Civic team, you can say.
Right? Yeah. And so this is the team that has been working really hard these past few years, right, to really figure out like how do we really engage with more integrity around the civic engagement piece, right? You heard a lot of these stories, right? I want to say like Jackie's interest ranges from technology to really being heartful, spiritual, mindful, and also being really connected and serving the world. She's amazing. She's very knowledgeable around design thinking. And other than that, before we start and hand this off completely to Jackie, I want everyone on the chat to say hello to Jackie and then tell us where you're coming from. All right, so that looks like, hey, Jackie, I'm Anthony and I'm coming from San Jose. Do that in chat right now. One is to test you all to make sure that you're alive, but two, she deserves a warm welcome. So go ahead and do that right now. Everyone welcome Jackie and then let her know where you're coming from. Go in the chat. Yes, I just called out everyone whose screen was off and now they're scrambling to type on the computer.
All right. I'm calling from Greater Philly area, so shout out Zoe. Cool. Well, I'm excited to read through where everyone's from. Thanks for the warm welcome, Anthony. I'm gonna share my mine is that unforgivable mistake. Not all companies are the same. Okay, are you guys seeing the slideshow? Like with my face on the slide? Is that what's appearing?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so really excited to be here with everyone here. I hope I get to hear more about your projects, and we'll have some time later as we go through the design thinking process to walk through it, and hopefully I will get to hear about what you all are working on. So yeah, I'm Jackie. I'm sort of like a hybrid product manager and software engineer at Meta. I work on civic products related to elections and like trying to get young people out to vote and informed on like how to vote and all that. So yeah, I studied computer science and AI at MIT. And in my free time, I really like traveling, I like music, and I like getting involved in the community. So really excited to be here today. Today, we're going to dive into what is design thinking and see how it can apply to your projects that y'all are working on. But also, this is a tool that you can use anywhere in your life if you have a problem that you're thinking about. Maybe you're trying to think about a personal problem or trying to figure out what kind of career you want to do. Maybe you're going through relationship woes or something. You can really actually apply design thinking in a lot of these spaces. So I guess first question here is, has anyone heard of design thinking before? And maybe you could give like really quick explanation. Maybe first, like just hands up if you've heard about it and know in general what it is. Let's see if there's a way I can see hands. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we got two folks. Cool. I guess yeah, does either of you want to give a quick explanation of what design thinking is or what you know about it? Not to put you on the spot, but just a little bit. You can even type it in the chat if you want to do that instead. Let me see if I can read the chat. Maybe Anthony can help me. Let's see. Okay, or if not, that's okay. All right. Well, all right. So what is design thinking? So the main point of design thinking is that, actually a lot of people forget to use design thinking when they're building products in the world, or they're trying to solve problems for people. They often forget, that the whole point is to keep focusing on who we're trying to solve for. So it's very human centric. That's like a really big part of design thinking. We really try to keep in mind who are the users that we're trying to serve, and like what do they need, not rather than what do we think they need or what do we want personally. It's also a really creative process. So the idea is that it's really supposed to be really generative and get you, thinking out of the box. It's inspired by designers who really know best how to get creative. And it's non-linear and it's iterative. And it all focuses on how can you get an idea and test it out as quickly as possible. So what's really great about design thinking is that it's not just about sitting in a room and thinking. The idea is that you want to get out there and try out something and then use that to iterate and refine your idea and make it better. Now, I know that a lot of you are in different stages of your project. Maybe some of you already know who your users are. Maybe some of you already have an idea of what your project is, or you've already started implementing it. But if you'll entertain me today, the goal today is to, revisit some of these different stages that you might have already gone through, and see if you could have come up with something different, or maybe add on to your idea. So these are the major stages of design thinking. We have empathize, which is all about focusing on the user and learning more about their needs. Defining a problem, ideating on the problem that you define and coming up with crazy ideas. Prototyping, so actually creating a prototype based on one of your ideas, testing out the prototype, and then assessing how that went. And so the idea of this process, you don't have to go from the first to the last stage, but it's a cyclical process. So we'll deep dive more into each of these stages, and then we're going to have some time for each team to actually do each stage. We'll do a rapid fire. Cool. All right. Let's start with the empathize stage. So the first stage here is to think about who your target users are and learn about their needs. So the idea is that you want to answer these kinds of questions. Who is it that you're aiming to serve? What is their experience? How are they experiencing the world? What sort of problems do they encounter? And what are they thinking? What are they feeling? What sort of things are they saying about their experience, or what are they doing within their experience? And these are probably a little bit intuitive, but the things you can do to empathize and learn more about your users is just observing them in the real world, interviewing them, and even just imagining or going through what your user would do in their situation. So I guess, like, quick show of hands, who here already has identified who in your community your target user in the problem that you're solving through your project? Just curious to see, like, who's already done this stage. Okay, we got a lot of folks. Okay, let me see if I can actually scroll through and see. Okay, so we got a good number, but not everyone has selected a user yet, it sounds like. Cool. All right, you can put your hands down. So I have an example prompt that I'll use throughout this. So, one example is, maybe my target user is tech workers. So say I'm Anthony, and I've identified tech workers as my target user of interest, and I'm interested in learning more about their experience with civic engagement. So I'll use that theme throughout this. And if anyone has a question too throughout, feel free to raise your hand or chat. So Emily, I see you raised your hand. Did you want to ask a quick question? Or is this a accidental hand? Please don't be shy. Oh, you left it up. Okay, all right. All right, cool. All right, stage 2, once you've identified your users, it's all about defining a meaningful problem statement based on your user's experience. And so one way you can think about how can I craft a succinct problem statement, is that you have your user, what their need is, and what's an insight about that need. So I'll give an example in a moment. Once you have your problem statement, you can then convert it into what we call how might we questions, which are really great ways to it'll set us up for the next stage, which is all about ideation. And these how might we questions, the goal is that they're broad, but they're also specific enough to, spark some creativity and help with ideation. So an example problem statement is that tech workers want to be more civically engaged. And so that's the need and the user. And the insight is that they want to help solve problems in their communities. So I guess who here has already, who feels like they have a really good problem statement from their project? Yeah, this one maybe is a little bit harder because, there's a certain way you could write the problem statement, but I'm sure you guys have maybe some of you have identified a certain problem that your user is encountering that you're trying to engage with. So we'll revisit this.
There's a couple people right there.
Oh, cool.
I saw Vivian, but she put her hand down. Now I see Katie. Oh, I see Vivian again. So they have two. Okay, three.
Cool. Oh, awesome. Cool. I guess would one of you want to share your problem statement, or is that confidential information, Anthony?
They can share whatever they're comfortable with.
Okay.
I do encourage. This is one thing I also learned. I encourage to be upfront and sharing, because I also realize a lot of times we don't have to worry too much about copycats, because the people who quote copycat, they don't have enough stamina to follow through. That's what I've seen in life. So
I think projects y'all are doing might be a bit harder to copy anyways, but yeah, would any of you all like to share what your problem statement is?
Let's go with Katie first. I see Katie like first in line in my role.
Oh yeah, so me and Vivian are on the same team, so we have like the same problem statement, but right now we're working with API seniors now, and we're just trying to like connect them with just like the community and all that, especially with the pandemic and all. They're so like isolated in their own homes, they're not able to like get out and socialize and all that. So that's why we made a survey in the beginning to ask about what they're interested in, whether or not they need transportation to like get from places to places. And so far we made our first event like kind of like a social gathering, picnic event. So, and then we kind of put all the things that they liked in all that one event, so that they could connect with their they can connect with the community, find the people that they connect most with, and etc.
I love that. Well, that's a really cool, that sounds like a great project. Yeah, it definitely sounds like you identified your user, which is the like elderly folks in the API community, and the need being, they are lonely, or they're isolated, and maybe the insight here is something along the lines that they want to connect more with people in their community, or yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Yeah, so I have an example of a how might we question. I would love to see what your group comes up with later, Katie, as well. So from this example, the question that we have here is, how might we help tech workers become more informed about issues in their community? And then how might we bridge tech workers' skills to people and organizations of need in their communities? So once you have a problem statement, it's really nice to then come up with these how might we questions, because they can really help you ask these questions, how could we do this? Or how might we explore, getting API seniors more involved, or, more connected to young folks in the community, or, you can ask a lot of different kinds of questions. All right, so then once you have your questions, we can ideate on them. So given those how might we questions, You can jump into generating a lot of ideas. And the goal here is to go for volume and variety. So you don't want to judge any ideas. Anything can be put on the table. The idea is just, come up with as many ideas as you can. And, maybe even a crazy idea will spawn something that's a little bit less crazy and more viable. You never know. So the idea is don't judge your ideas. And then you can pick your top ideas for prototyping. So we have some example ideas here. All right, so now for prototyping. So prototyping can mean a lot of different things. When it comes to products from tech companies or like, hardware, or, companies are building physical products. These might actually be mocks of those physical products. So maybe it's like a really bare bones looking iPhone, or for apps, a lot of people like to do paper prototypes, like what you see in the first image on the right. But in some of your cases, especially if your idea is something that involves people or an event or gathering, you could even prototype your idea by hosting a smaller version of the event you're thinking about, or testing out your idea with friends or your family or something like that. So prototyping can the whole idea is coming up with low cost, low effort ways to test your ideas, no matter what that idea is. So maybe your prototype is just an action plan that you share and get feedback on, or you do an info session about an idea that you have, or like I said, a mock product. And then the question is, how can you evaluate the success of your prototype? And that leads us to our next stage, which is actually testing it out. So get out and get people to interact with your prototype and get feedback. And if needed, maybe you need to rethink and go back to different ideas if the idea you tested out didn't pan out as you planned. Maybe you actually realize your users or your problem aren't actually the highest need area, and you actually need to focus on a different problem area that you discovered in your feedback sessions, or maybe you discovered another user group that could use more attention. And then it kind of just cycles around. Yeah, and then there's a lot of different ways you can even assess and figure out if you're getting positive like feedback or not. Maybe you actually want to quantify it, but that might be a bit too fancy for our needs for now. So anyways, now we're going to shift gears and put this into practice. So what we're going to do, I guess I'm assuming that we have all the teams here. Is anyone here alone and doesn't have the rest of their team here? Or does everyone have at least one other team member, if not all their team members here?
So we may have a whole mixed bag because we have teams that are going to be presenting for a group consulting later. Then we also have groups who are not all going to be here, who's been part of the process already. And then we also have brand new people potentially here too. So there's a whole range.
Cool. Okay, does anyone not have a team yet? I guess that's an important question. Maybe raise your hand if you're alone and you don't have a team.
Do I count?
I don't. Yeah, you count. I count too. Okay.
Okay.
So maybe we can we form teams amongst folks, or otherwise folks can also participate alone and just ideate on your own. I always think it's kind of fun with people. Okay, we actually have quite a number of people. We have 6 folks who don't have teams. I guess Anthony, your call here, but would it be easier to maybe form like an extra team of folks who don't have teams yet and do the brainstorming that way? Or otherwise folks can also just brainstorm individually.
Yeah, let's do individually for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do that. All right, so let's drop this link. Oh, did I just click it and you guys can see it? Okay. Cool. So Anthony just dropped the Jamboard link in the chat. So click on that, and what you're going to do is, let me see if I can show here. if you can click those three dots on the right, you should be able to make a copy. So let us know if you're having trouble with that, but you're gonna make a copy and you can name it whatever you want. And what we're gonna do is go through the design thinking process. And for folks that already have, the target users in mind, you're welcome to focus on that. That could be really interesting, and try to come up with more ideas than the problem that you're already focusing on. But for new folks, feel free to just think about maybe some.
Hello? Oh,
Groups.
okay, there you go. We lost you for a second.
Okay. Oh, my internet connection's unstable. Okay. I'm back though. Am I still in and out?
You're good. You're good.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, so I was just saying, for new folks, like, feel free to come up with, try not to go all over, but because you can think of many different people, but a few interesting groups of people that in your community, or maybe from stories you've heard, that you want to focus on, and come up with ideas around. Okay, so anyone having trouble with the Jamboard, feel free to raise your hand or chat. Anthony.
Oh, I thought Grace had a question for a second. I saw her hand up.
Any questions? Okay. All right. So once you have your Jamboard, we're going to start filling it with ideas. So starting with the empathize slide, we're going to give some time for each of these stages. So let's start with empathize. So take a few minutes and think about who are some target users you want to focus on, and explore what's the kind of experience that you've observed, or that you know of. What are their needs, and what kind of problems do they encounter day to day? All right, so 7 minutes starts now. And actually, maybe I'll cut this one off a little bit shorter. I might do like 5 minutes just for the sake of time. So take about 5 minutes and can brainstorm about your target users. And Anthony, if you want to be on my team, you're welcome to ideate with me. If we want to, you can pick a new problem area too.
I do have a new problem.
Okay, let's do it. Okay.
All right. And
Great.
this is also gonna light the fire under my butt. So I'm throwing my Jamboard now.
Okay, I need access.
Oh, I gotta share access. Okay.
Oops.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
I don't know why. There we go.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave this up for now to share. Oopsies, not like that. Okay. Go to like 4 minutes. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can play some music too. But are you hearing music? Just curious. I might have not.
You know what? I could do this. Give me a second. We're at what time right now?
Okay. We are at 3 minutes, 20 seconds. Oh, you can't edit the Jamboard.
Refresh it. Refresh
Yeah,
it.
refresh it.
And then I'll share my screen. I'll play music.
Okay, cool. Oh, awesome. Yeah, make a copy. It's about 1 more minute to wrap up. All right, maybe for the sake of time, let's pause there. I'd love to just hear from one volunteer at least. And if you can, oh yeah, cool. Love to hear from maybe one or two teams. What target user you selected, maybe from a different team than the last one we heard. And I'd love to hear like what kind of problems you're exploring or that are sticking out to you. Don't be shy. Love to just hear from one or two teams. Yeah, feel free to chat it as well. Marginalized communities in San Diego. Sounds really, I'm curious to hear more about that, Liana. Awesome. Anyone else? Got youth, people of color, the LGBTQ plus community. Oh, awesome. And from Jenny, high school students struggling with academic and social pressure. That's a really big problem nowadays as well. Cool. Well, I'm really excited to see what kind of ideas y'all come up with. Okay. Thanks for sharing. And all right, we're gonna move to the second stage. And if you got the slides, oh, awesome. Thanks for sharing, William, as well. People in the greater Boston area looking for historical monuments, learning sources, cultural enrichment, and public learning sources. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, so now that we have focus user groups and a few different ideas around problems, pick one of the problems that are sticking out to you, or if you already know what problem you're focusing on, you can use this opportunity to form a problem statement if you don't have one yet, or to come up with more how might we questions. So remember, the problem statement is, just a clear way to state, who's your user, what's the need that they have, and maybe what's something that they're seeking through that need, like what's like the deeper reason why that's a need. And based on that, can generate some how might we questions. And all these are also on the second slide of the Jamboard as well. So generate some how might we questions based on your problem statement. And we'll give you about 7 minutes to do that. Okay, go for it. Thanks, Anthony, for doing everything, all the tech. I just get to sit here. Great. About 3 more minutes. I might cut this off by a minute or so as well, just for time's sake. So if you haven't yet started to generate some how might we questions, start to pick a problem statement that's standing out the most to you. Maybe you came up with a few different ideas. And from that, come up with a few different how might we questions. So, how might we relieve high school students' stress in academia, or get them involved in fun activities, or just riffing off some of the ideas from the folks here. And maybe Anthony and I can share our ideas too. All right, so just about maybe take 1 more minute to wrap up and come up with some how might we questions. All right, let's wrap up. And I'd love to hear maybe from different folks through the chat, or feel free to come off mute. And would love to hear any problem statements that people came up with. And maybe while we get some volunteers, Anthony, do you want to share what you have? Okay.
Yes. Give me a second. I am trying to find my screen. Oh, there you go. You also see I have like 4 windows on one screen, 4 windows on the screen, running tech in the background too. Yeah. So I guess our problem statement, should we share that first? Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem statement I have is Asian American wants to express themselves more fully and authentically at work, and in their relationships. And so some of the questions that we had come up with was, how might we, as Asian Americans, be more confident in advocating for themselves and leading others in decision making and leading teams? Another one is like, how might we get APIs out of their comfort zone to expand their idea of how they carry themselves in the world? I think those 2 are probably good examples to start with.
Cool. Awesome. I see William shared problem statement. It looks like Lexington and Greater Boston citizens want to access publicized learning resources in their nearby area in a cohesive way, because information they may not be easily accessible. Cool. There's a lot of awareness regarding different generations within a community. This is from Jody. Children, teens, and veterans. Oh yeah. Okay. Didn't know someone was trying to chime in. And there isn't enough gratitude expressed to local veterans. That is a really cool, interesting problem. Cool. Okay. So I'm guessing folks came up with hopefully a few different how might we questions based on their problem statement. If you didn't, you can use this time to come up with a few more. Pick one of those how might we questions that is really standing out to you, maybe one, or if 2 of them are related and you really want to generate ideas on another one. You can copy it over to the next slide if you want, on the 3rd page of the Jamboard, and we're gonna spend some time ideating.
Before we start,
oh yeah,
can I throw something in? Because I got a question on my end.
Oh yeah.
So on this didn't we already list this problem in our project proposal, right? So this is some from our grant winners. Yes, but like I said at the very beginning, this is a chance to level up. So don't be fooled to think that because you've done the work already doesn't mean that could change, right? And so I really want to encourage you all to like recognize that this problem statement I have earlier when I was working with Jackie, this is a reiteration of it's the same challenge, but has evolved over time, right? And there's always a better way to be more specific, to be more thoughtful as well. Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I know some of you already come up with your projects, maybe you've already implemented it, but sometimes when you go through this process, it can lead you in a totally different direction or really expand your mind. So worth a try. Definitely encourage you to give it a go. Okay, let's kick off the timer and let's do 5 minutes. If you can scroll to the 5-minute mark, and then, all right, speed ideation. Let's do it. About a little over 2.5 more minutes left. Throw any ideas down, even if you can think of some crazy ideas, throw those down too, and you never know where those will lead you. All right, about 1:30 left. cool song. I feel like I'm in a video game.
It's the Animal Crossing lo-fi station.
Oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. I have not played Animal Crossing. Shows how out of touch I am.
Yeah, I'm
I like
debating
the song. Okay, let's wrap up your last few ideas. Cool. All right. Ooh, okay. William, I see you're throwing up. Are these different ideas that you're throwing up from your ideation? The rediscovering Lexington heroes. Maybe these are, yeah, these all sound amazing. Lunar Arts website restoration project, Spoken Wise. Oh, cool. Okay. Y'all are ahead of the game. You're already prototyping and developing these ideas. Anyone else want to share some of the random ideas you came up with? Maybe some of the ideas you're most excited about. And meanwhile, Anthony, if you want to share some ideas that you're excited about from your board.
Yeah. Okay. So continuing on, we're gonna do a leadership course. That's what I'm trying to do. And I was thinking about the modules, and this makes really good sense, is to have ways to practice scenarios, role playing or improv on the courageous challenge that they're facing that's relevant to their challenge. So for example, if I have a client who is afraid to give back the work and she or he is like doing everything for everybody, we get to practice role playing and how the person can delegate the work back. Because for some reason, we feel like we got to take on and do everything ourselves.
I love that.
Which is a lie.
Yeah. No, I don't love taking on everything ourselves, but I love the idea of role playing and just like practicing these situations. You have to make API folks more ready to encounter those situations in real life. Cool.
Okay.
Anyone else want to share any ideas that came to mind from your problem statement, your how my we's? Equinox Live. Ooh, community wellness events hosted through the school year. Sorry, I'm reading in a weird way. Trying to like throughout the school year, featuring young artists, galleries, open mic nights, keynote speakers, and more to encourage student bonding.
I love that.
Sounds really fun.
I want to go.
Yeah. Equinox Live. That's cool.
Jenny, where are you at again?
Can we show up? We will be your prototype crowd. Anyone else want to share? All right. And otherwise, I know we're running a little bit short of time. I guess Anthony, we could do like a minute rapid fire prototype ideation. Do we have time for that?
We have time for that.
All right. Okay, let's do rapid fire, last stage for now, prototype ideas. So given pick an idea that you're most excited about for now. And we're gonna come up with prototype ideas. So like, what are different ways that you could take that idea and actually test it out? Maybe on your siblings or on your friends or random strangers on the street. All right, let's do like a minute and a half.
Let's be nice. Let's do 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, awesome. Sweet.
Actually, I like the number 220. Let's do 220.
All right. Okay. 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and come up with some prototype ideas. All right, time's up. I was getting so into ideating that I didn't notice time was up. Okay, hopefully that gave some time to like think about interesting prototype ideas. Would love to hear one or two folks in the chat, like any ways that any ideas on prototyping your idea. Meanwhile, Anthony, if you want to share any of your favorites from your how might we question, or your not how might we's, but ideas that you talked about. Yeah.
I love this idea. You brought this up. There are two of them, right? Like the monthly gathering around food and dinner around friends, talking about API culture. The other one is having a card deck with courageous actions, and then also maybe having a app version of it too. I can imagine it's like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to think. I'm not very intuitive. Let me pull this app. Here's my challenge. Tell your boss that you want more room to take care of yourself, like that kind of stuff. Like a fortune teller in a phone app that tells you how to be courageous.
That'd be fun. I like that.
I can't believe I also use that symbol. I think I need a better like image though, other than the fortune cookie in the phone.
Anyone else want to share their prototype idea? We'd love to hear what sort of interesting ways you want to test out your ideas.
Maybe something else that might be interesting is that some of these folks already have their ideas. Maybe it's also asking, how has this shifted, reiterated your prototype, your new prototype, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. As we're nearing the end of our session, so I would also love to hear overall anyone's thoughts on how this design thinking process was for you. Were you able to come up with, an interesting new perspective that you didn't have before, or was it just sort of like, just confirm that your idea is amazing as it is? Anyone that wants to come off mute, would love to hear your thoughts, or feel free to drop it in the chat thread. Yeah, just love to hear any feedback on how this session was for you. Thanks, Ashika. So Ashika wrote, it's cool because it seemed to give structure to the natural process of coming up with reforms or programs. Oh yeah. Did someone come off mute? Maybe that's by accident, but would love to hear your thoughts.
So I think it was really nice how the entire process was just boiled down to 4 key points, like emphasizing, defining, ideation, and prototyping. Although I'm not sure, like, could there possibly be any steps after the prototyping one, like going further beyond that? That was just a question that I sort of had lingering after the prototyping activity.
That's a great question. Tell me your name.
I'm William.
William. Oh, cool. Hey, William. Yeah, that's a really great question. So, once you have a prototype idea, the next step is to just test it out. And from there, it actually you go back through the cycle until you come up with a final product or like program design that you feel really good about. So really it's this iterative process. And, even when you do maybe you've like, maybe you came up with a program for high school students in the community and to relieve stress in academics, and you have a really great event that you run every year, but each year you want to bring in new ideas. This is a really great process to come back to and do some ideation and come up with ways to improve it. So these are like the major stages of the design thinking process, as most people refer to it. But yeah, maybe you have steps that you like to do that aren't in here that help you come up with better ideas. So yeah, but these are the major stages of it. That answers your question. Yeah, and if any folks want to get access to these slides, Anthony can share the link. Maybe we'll make this into a PDF and y'all can refer to it in the future. And I see Jenny also added a thought here. I hadn't thought of prototyping and starting off on a smaller scale. I think it will be really helpful to further understand and curate my audience and get feedback to restructure some programs. Yeah, that's something I really like about this process, is that it makes it a lot less intimidating to come up with ideas, and it really encourages all of us to just get out there and try something out, even if it's really small and simple and just with some close friends or random people on the street. But the idea is just like get out there and try your ideas, because that's the best way to see, if you can actually make something work. Cool. So I will end there. Thank you everyone who participated and who stuck around for this session till the end. I really hope you all enjoyed it and you got your creative juices flowing. So thanks, Anthony, for having me. See y'all. Hopefully see y'all around, and really excited to see how your projects go.
All right, thank you so much. Everyone, do me favors, thank Jackie for me in the chat. I also posted the link on the Google form, and then I also, not the Google form, to the Google document, the PDF, the link. I also uploaded to our chat, so you have the PDF. So reiterating, right? The reason why I love design thinking, once again, is because it's not a one-time process. It's a one-off kind of thing. You use this to continuously improve. Why we're doing this? Because I'm going to challenge you all to keep growing, right? The better that you are at growing and improving, the better that you're able to serve the world, because we have a lot of growing to do as leaders. So that's the big part.